come see us on tour. Be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. We were talking about what's been happening in Europe, and now there's a backlash, right? So there's a backlash happening. I saw people in Chicago, African Americans in Chicago, protesting and being upset about the government taking care of immigrants and migrants who are here illegal instead of investing in their communities. Like, we've been here our whole life. Why aren't you investing in our community? But you got all this money for these people who just got here, and so there's a backlash happening, and it's not only happening in the United States, but it's happening in Europe. And here's another sign of it happening. Well, the French just had a far right big gains in the far right in their last election, and now watch this. This just happened in Germany.
Tonight, a political taboo has been shattered. A far-right party winning a state election in Germany for the first time since the Nazis, raising questions about Germany's political future and setting off alarm bells about the far-right's rise across Europe and beyond. The Alternative for Germany Party, or AfD, taking first place in the East German state of Thuringia and second in neighboring Saxony. The AfD, formally accused by German intelligence of being an extremist group in both states. Front pages in Germany calling it a political earthquake and a slap by Germany's East. It's horrible. I find it unbelievable, this Berlin resident says. The AfD playing on fears about migration, especially by Muslim immigrants, and rallying opposition to foreign aid to Ukraine and to high cost of living.
Parts of East Germany feel that they've been left behind. They feel like they...
So I just want to... It's very much what led to Trump's election. So the high cost of living, the bad economics, and the flood of immigration.
And they always think like, what are they complaining about? That your money's worthless. You can't buy you can't buy what you used to buy. And all these people are coming in, and they are murdering and raping people, and they have no plans on assimilating. What are you complaining about? Well, those are real valid things to complain about. I mean, you have in Brussels, Belgium, you have this whole idea of replacement theory is no longer a theory, because in Brussels you have 56% of that population of that city now is immigrant. So you have an actual replacement of the Belgian people. The populace has been replaced. So, I mean, at what point does a Democrat or a social democrat like they have in Germany, do they regroup and go, you know what, we need to change something? Instead, what they do is they just throw out these accusations of these are all Nazis because they oppose us. So how far, I mean, how long are they going to continue to just call people who oppose their policies Nazis? I mean, clearly it's not helping. Their policies are not helping the people there, and they're seeing the bad results of bad policy. And to just name them Nazis, and of course, our captured media goes right along with it, and just calls them Nazis. It's worrisome. It's worrisome that the global elites aren't getting their way, and that people are fighting back and voting for anybody else to who oppose this globalist plan of replacing them. I mean, it sounds like it's not a crazy thing to vote differently than what they're being offered.
So I'm pretty sure, I don't think the problem with immigration or illegal immigration or whatever is the sure they commit crime, but I've seen studies that say they commit crime at a lower rate than the natural born population. So it's not that so much that me, it's what is the goddamn plan of these Western billionaires who are running? What is it? Why are they flooding every Western? What is that? Why are they want to dilute the population? What are they? Is it to make chaos? Because chaos always favors the establishment. And so,
oh yes, I think if you,
go ahead.
I mean, I do think that if you had to hazard a guess, I think you'd have to lean in that direction. And now whether the rates of crime are higher or lower, the fact of the matter is, if you are allowing people to come into your country that do not want to assimilate and that hate you, that in fact hate your country and hate your culture, and do not like the rights of women that your culture has allowed, I think that it is behooving the public to oppose the continued this policy of these people flowing in. Well, what is the thing? I mean, if I had to ask what it was, I think that if there is a nefarious plan in place, it's perhaps this, to cause so much upheaval and so much people at their throats, because so much
that they beg for authoritarian solutions. Yeah.
that they want calm and they want peace at the price of giving up their freedoms.
Yes.
And Europe is a very good example of that specific thing. We will give you calm. It is peace through, peace through strength, joy, peace through joy, joy through strength. And if you take a look at what Chairman Mao did, I mean, he got everybody at each other's throats, divided them, and then made these people. He said, "We're going to give you utopia, and these are the people that are opposing us."
Yeah.
These are the ones stopping it. So let's go get them, and that's what the Cultural Revolution, 1966, is really about. Let's go after these underpinnings of society. Let's destroy everything before us and start something new. But the thing that's starting new is an absolute tyranny. And if the people knew what was coming, they would not have welcomed it. And that's why it's important to get why the Khmer Rouge got all these 16-year-olds to do the dirty work, because their brains aren't functioning at that high level as an adult, and they will do horrible, nasty things. So, I mean, I do believe that the nefarious thing, if there is one, you could point to that as people willing to cause such havoc and such chaos that people are willing to give up those freedoms for some sort of semblance of peace, even if that peace ends up being authoritarianism and tyranny.
So let me just, they're saying here, it's almost like a rerun of what led to Donald Trump's election is happening in Europe. I mean, listen to what this news report is saying.
And rallying opposition to foreign aid to Ukraine and to high cost of living.
So they're against
There's
spending
an
money
American
on
guy there,
war.
because there was a fat guy.
Yeah.
He's an American first.
They're against sending money to more war. That was what Trump ran on in 2016, was ending the wars and getting out of the Middle East. They're the high cost of living, the economics, and immigration. I mean, they're doing the exact same thing. And so let's just listen to the rest of this report.
Parts of East Germany feel that they've been left behind. They feel like they are not necessarily getting their part of the pie.
The AFD leader in Thuringia telling supporters at his victory party, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. One of the biggest losers, Chancellor Olaf Scholz, whose deeply unpopular center-left party hemorrhaged votes. Some of his coalition partners didn't even meet the 5% threshold to serve in parliament. Scholz calling the results worrying, telling Reuters the AFD is ruining Germany's reputation. But the elections won't immediately change the way Germany is governed, in part because Germany's mainstream parties are vowing to block the AFD from forming a governing coalition. Tonight, AFD's leaders calling that threat undemocratic, saying Chancellor Scholz should take the hint and pack his bags. The election also bringing shocking success for the far left, including a brand new party, the BSW, that came in third in both states. Its leader, a former communist, echoing the far right in rejecting Germany's old guard of centrists.
So it sounds again like the mainstream establishment parties are pushing people into what they would consider extremist parties. Trump here in the United States, over there, the far right and the far left. Look at that. The populist left and the populist right are now rising in Germany, and it's the centrist parties, what they're not really centrist, there's establishment that people are rejecting. Let's listen to what, so they call her a communist, and she's somehow hooking up with what they call far right Nazis. That's be a big message and a big tell to everybody.
The message has arrived. People want change. It's a populist message voters have been sending more and more forcefully across Europe and even in the US. In the UK, the far-right Reform UK gaining ground. Its leader, Nigel Farage, elected to parliament for the first time in July. And in France, the right-wing National Rally gaining dozens of seats, more than ever before, and leaving French government gridlocked for months.
Should we expect more voters across Europe to take a gamble in the future on the far right?
I think you're already seeing it. And by the way, our election is coming up in November, and it's a very similar situation here, I believe.
The big question now is what all of this means for Germany's national elections set to take place next year, and whether the rest of the country will follow this sharp shift to the right. Olaf Scholz has said he plans to run again for chancellor next year, but this election dealt such a blow to Germany's centrists that there are questions now about whether his governing coalition can even hang on until next year.
So,
But the way they're phrasing that, Jimmy,
yeah.
the most important piece of that, the most important is like the bad guys are winning. They're phrasing it like that. Not the people choosing. And the other most important thing in that whole news clip, the most important thing was the existing establishment political machine is saying that they're going to refuse to allow them to, these duly elected people, They said there that they're going to refuse them and try to refuse them to allow them to participate in the political process. That, in of itself, is tyranny.
That's right. Yes. So that was very good. You're right. That's how it's all being. It's like, oh my God, the bad guys are winning. You mean the people are expressing the will at the ballot box and they're the bad guys? The people are the bad guys? That's what they've done in the United States. The people are the bad guys along with Donald Trump. And it's his support. Anybody who votes for Trump, they're the bad guys. So that's what this is desperation. The establishment's plans aren't working. People are pushing back against it. And that's how you get a Donald Trump. That's how you get this happening because the establishment political machine has disregarded most of the people and they don't listen to their concerns anymore. That's why Bernie Sanders was so popular in 2016. And then, of course, he did nothing with it. But I just want to remind people there were 206 counties that voted for Obama and then voted for Trump. 31 of those counties were in Iowa. So just keep that in mind. So they want, you better make, do you think they were all racist? Really, all the racists in Iowa? 31 counties voted for Obama twice and then voted for Trump. These are people who are desperate that the establishment isn't hearing their pleas, they're not meeting their needs, and they're voting for change. And that's
Well,
not only go ahead.
Yes, Jimmy, but instead of taking that information in and making adjustments, just like what we said about the Democratic Party after Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberg exposed through Twitter files that there was direct collusion between big tech secretly with the White House. And instead of regrouping, what they do is they're asking for more authoritarianism, like in this piece. They are doing it.
Yeah.
And instead of regrouping and admitting it and adjusting, what they're going to do, and like they're doing here in the United States, is more authoritarianism.
Yeah.
It's like we can't have Twitter because they're not doing what Elon is not doing as our bidding. So they're saying when we can't have that, we can't have something where we don't have a back door in with just through the CIA. And that's what's interesting about what Mark Zuckerberg came in and admitted that in his letter to Congress. And in some way, it was a mea culpa, but it's also in a way whether he was saving his own neck or not if the Trump administration gets in. Because what he's saying is that they did collude and that they did work, that Facebook did work with
That's
the government.
illegal.
It is absolutely at the core. But what you're having now a Justice Department that no longer worries about any sort of what is right or wrong. They're only there to beef up their own Democratic Party. And while you don't expect them to be 100%, for liberty and middle of the road, you would expect some adjustment back when they're exposed. But you're not getting that. I mean, it's just like when it's illegal to protest on a Supreme Court justices in front of his house. That is against the law. But they don't. That was something we're like, well, that's a bellwether of something to happen. So what I would say, you got to look at the bigger picture. In 2010. There was a series of essays written, mostly by liberals, but liberal, intellectuals about democracy fatigue. And I would say what we're experiencing now, and one of the things I talk about in the book is freedom fatigue. In other words, we're enough with the freedom. Just you take over. Just whatever piece we can get, we'll take. And I think that's what you're seeing in Europe, and I think you're seeing that. You're definitely seeing it in Germany. You're definitely seeing France. You're seeing it in Poland. You've seen it in Hungary, where they're not allowing people to come in at all, and they're looking like geniuses now. And I think you're seeing it in the United States. I mean, but will the establishment continue to act in an authoritarian, dictatorial way and not allow the people to vote this time and get who they want to win? I mean, in other words, will there just be more and more vans showing up at 3 o'clock in the morning and saying we need more, blah, blah, blah? Are we going to allow illegal immigrants to vote? I mean, these are all things that doing anything to win. And at what point, what cost to our liberty, to what cost to our nation do we allow this to happen before we can say enough with this Democratic Party? You got to regroup and become the Democrats. That's a real political party of the people and no longer just this establishment monster, the blue monster is what it's turned into.
Harvey's knows Canadians like things in threes, like hat tricks, football downs, the prairies, and now pickles. Thanks to our triple pickle poutine with deep fried and diced pickles and our creamy garlic dill sauce. It's a taste trifecta. Harvey's.
Rob Snyder, I can't wait for your book. It's coming out September 23rd. What's the name of that book?
You can do it. What a surprise. Where are you going to be performing? I want to come see you. Let's do some shows together.
Yeah, so we'll have to get you on our live show. We're going to do one at the end of September. And,
Those are great, by the way. I had such a blast.
Oh, I'm glad you had a good time.
Best moments ever on anything I've ever done was to see this Trump supporter and this communist hugging. It was
Yes,
a good show.
I
And
think
it was such a beautiful moment.
it was. I think it was over. I think they came together over the Federal Reserve to get rid of it. I'm not sure what it was, but something brought them together. It was the MAGA and the Marxists came together. And you know he's a Marxist because he gave me 2 books. Marxists always carry books with them. And so that's a. But I look forward to your book coming out. We'll have you on soon. I'm going to be in Tempe, Arizona. When am I in Tempe, Arizona? In October.
I'll be here.
Okay, so we'll see you there. We'll bring you on stage and we'll have a good
I
time.
love that. That'd
Uh,
be great. And
I'm
thank
sure-
you. I mean, I talk about you in the book because you are a freedom warrior. And also, you're one of the great liberals because you're able to adjust your point of view, which with other liberals who are not open-minded, authoritarian liberals, they hate that. But you have adjusted and been open to evidence-based changing of your foundational thinking. Which
You
is
know,
great.
when you presented with new information, I have a new opinion. You know, that's what happens. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. That's a sign of a mature person. But anyway, Rob Schneider, thank you so much. When your book comes out, we'll have you back on. I'm sure I'll see you before then. Thanks for being our
All right,
guest, brother.
brother. All the best, Jimmy. Take care, buddy.
Interest rates have dropped, and right now is the perfect time to call the people over at American Financing. They're a family-owned company that is helping people just like you create meaningful savings every month. They are salary-based mortgage consultants, and they look at your full financial picture, all of your debts, including those frustrating credit card balances where you're paying upwards of 20 and 30% in interest payments every month. And they work with you to create a loan program where they wipe that all out. And in some cases, they have some cash left over to create some emergency savings. American Financing is a true partner in helping you and your family save money. They have never charged any upfront or hidden fees. It costs you absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. Their average customer is saving over $800 a month. And if you start today, you may delay 2 mortgage payments. So what do? You call 888-804-0303. That's 888-804-0303. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Jimmy. Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.
Eastside Mario's all you can eat. You manja, manja, manja. Oh, Pop, they got more salad. Oh, Pop, they got more soup. Oh, Pop, they got more garlic home roll. Manja, mama, manja. Hey, bada boo, bada bing.
Sprays had me looking tired, but I didn't want a noticeable change. So I tried Just for Men Control GX Spray Reducing Shampoo. Using daily week 1, I saw a little less spray each day. It's a gradual, easy refresh. Just for Men Control GX Shampoo.